Welcome to the Better Each Day podcast with special guest today, Gathering Time. They are Hilliard, Foxsong, Gerry McKeveny, and speaking with us today, Stuart Markus. Together they are Gathering Time. The record, Old Friends, is a collection of the good ones, the old ones, songs from the 60s that could have been written for 2020.
Welcome to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. Today and every day, reaching out for innovative ideas in every way. Today's show is brought to you by your future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
Ooh, make a better stay now, baby. Better every way. It's a season, turn, 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 and make time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and make time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and make time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and make time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. 3, 4.
I love vocals. And when I heard you guys, it was like, wow, it's not a lost art form. What happened here? And you're doing the songs that I love, and it's kind of a time machine of nostalgia for me. And right off the bat, I want to thank you guys for doing that. It's great.
Great, thank you.
How did you hook up with these people? You're on the same page. You all sound great together. It's kind of a Peter, Paul, and Mary, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Who knows?
Yeah.
On and on and on.
those are the groups that we take our inspiration from, definitely. And I grew up listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary when I was a kid, and then I discovered Simon and Garfunkel from an uncle's cassette tape of theirs, and then I graduated to Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and I loved America also, and just it didn't take me long to realize that vocal harmony was my biggest love when it came to music. The way Gathering Time got together is sort of a funny, long story. We had a former member, a guy named Glenn, who I knew from a songwriting workshop group back in the 1990s, and I hadn't seen him in years, but I ran into him he was doing a concert for the local folk society on a rare Saturday night that I had off, so I went to see him, and we hung out talking, and he said, I play at this antique, classic car rally that they have every Tuesday in the town where I live, and why don't you come by and bring your guitar and sing with me, jam a little bit. So I went down a couple of weeks later, and it turned out that Hillary had been doing the same thing with him. She lived in town. She had bumped into him the previous September. She'd had a tough day with her boyfriend, and a few of her coworkers brought her out to just have a couple drinks after work, and there was this car rally, and he was singing, and she just sort of walked up and started harmonizing with him, so he invited her to come back. And then when he invited me, I walked up, she was harmonizing with him, and my first thought was, somebody beat me to it. I'm going to have to wait for a while. But they were doing a song, I think, by the Eagles that had a natural third part, so I just sort of jumped in, just sort of tapped her on the shoulder and said, may I? And we started singing. And that's how it was born. So we started going to he had a steady gig at a restaurant in town every other Thursday, so we'd crash his gig there, and then we started crashing each other's gigs at other places. And that's how the group became. So 7 years later, Glenn decided he didn't want to stay in the group, and a few people suggested Gerry, who I'd known from the same Songwriters Workshop group, and they said, he's got the same skill set that you need. So we called him, and he was our first and last audition as a replacement, and we've been going with him for about, it'll be 8 years since we started rehearsing with him in December.
That's a rare occurrence when you can get the planets to align, for a lack of a better terminology. And all that happens just out of a songwriting class or something that you had?
It was a workshop group. It wasn't really a class, but local songwriters would get together, and anyone who had a new song would play it for the group and get encouragement or suggestions or critiques. And so it helped us all sort of hone our craft of songwriting, and made for some lasting friendships too.
Harmonies. Did you have siblings growing up?
I did. I harmonized with my sister.
Yeah, that's what I'm headed.
My brother was a drummer. Yeah.
Oh, your brother,
my brother was a drummer. He didn't sing much.
You say that in shame. Well, my brother was a drummer. I always tease drummers.
No shame then.
Yeah.
My sister has a great voice. My parents used to harmonize too. In fact, my dad, when I was a little kid, got a 2-speed reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Yeah.
And he and my mom would sing harmony, and then he'd put on the high speed and make it sound like the Three Chipmunks.
Yep. Did all that stuff. Yeah. Mine was, I grew up with a couple of guys across the street. And and my brothers, we sang barbershop in the car with my dad when we're traveling and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, and I think a lot of it starts with siblings. That's been my experience. To, grow up and later on find people like that, and you're all on the same page. That's amazing. And the song selections off your CD are amazing. It's like if I was going to do it, I'd do just what you did. How did you select the songs? Did you just kind of brainstorm, or stuff that you just evolved as you were playing?
It was stuff that that we picked up over the years. We've got sort of a bifurcated existence. We all write, and we've got 4 albums of originals out, 2 that we did with Glenn, our first guitarist, and then 2 more with Gerry. And but we do a lot of shows that are sort of tributes to the folk rock of the 60s, parks concerts and library shows and performing arts centers. And we all loved Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Joni Mitchell and a lot of the greats of the 60s and 70s. So we were doing that stuff. And we kept on getting asked, do you have an album just of these songs? So after 4 albums of mostly all originals, we said, you know what, we should do one. And meanwhile, times were becoming what they are. And we started thinking, you know what, we should make sure a lot of these songs are really socially relevant songs, you know, songs that were written back then, but sort of apply to today as well. And that's what happened. And, you know, then one delay after another kept on happening in the recording process to the point where finally, you know, we were able to get it done and to press at the beginning of August. And we just, you know, some of the songs became very, very relevant. You know, like we released Get Together, you know, when the Black Lives Matter movement and protests were at their height. And there was just so much vitriol going back and forth. And it's continued, certainly to this day.
Love is but a song to sing, feels the way we die. You can make the mountains rain, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, you will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. People now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both, It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. And I said, come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now, right now.
So we sort of had an eye on doing songs that mattered. So it was sort of like that Venn diagram of songs that we knew and loved and songs that really applied to today as well. That just made this thing really come together.
And the name of the new CD is Old Friends, right?
Old Friends, right.
Yeah, and I love the album cover. It's Crosby, Stills and Nash. Kind of
Yeah, that was a deliberate thing, definitely.
Yeah, there's something to be said about a couch on a front porch, you know? I mean, what's it for? Well, we're going to sit out there and chat. That's what it's for. And we'll say whatever we feel like saying. So, yeah, it's great. You know, and I wasn't aware of your prior recordings, the original music, so I'm going to have to go back and listen to those. Where are those available?
They're all on our website. At least the two newer ones plus the newest one are available on the website. The older two, the ones we did with our first guitarist, are out of print, and his preference is that we don't sell them anymore, unfortunately. Although we might redo a few of those songs and have them available for download.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they were downloadable, where can those be found?
It's www.gathering-time.com. Or just Google Gathering Time and it comes up first.
I like the name Gathering Time because you can be Gathering Time or Gathering Time.
Yeah, it's got a few meanings. We were trying to come up with a name. We spent over a year trying to come up with a name. We'd been calling ourselves Third Wheel, but then we found out back in the days of MySpace that there were a couple of other bands that were up and touring regionally throughout the country called Third Wheel. So we'd gone to, there's an annual folk music convention called NERFA, the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance, and there are a number of different regions. And the three of us had gone to that. It's held every November. And we found that whenever we started singing and harmonizing, people just sort of gathered around, especially if we were doing, the classics. So we were talking about this. And at this particular conference, several DJs came over and said, if you get anything recorded, send it to me. And a couple of concert presenters said, if you come up with a name, I want to book you. So we knew we had to come up with a name. So we were talking about how people gathered around. So we started riffing on variations of gathering. The gathering was taken, and thinking, okay, gathering strength, maybe gathering steam, maybe gathering moss was right out, gathering dust. And then I suggested gathering time. And everyone kind of said, And then we realized it could be taken a few different ways. It could be the time for gathering, like before an event, or it could refer to like harvest time, gathering time, or it could be like, if you were Jim Croce and could save time in a bottle, gather it all together. What would you do with it? So we all liked that.
Those band meetings where you're trying to come up with a name are pretty hilarious sometimes. I think people come up with some good stuff that you'd never use, but they're fun.
Oh, yeah. All three of us were brainstorming. I came up with Dragon Wagon. Glenn came up with 1, 2, 3 Chocolate. None of us really liked that.
Some of the interviews I asked people, like Vanilla Fudge, Carmine Appice, the drummer, I said, how'd you come up with that? And he said one of their girlfriends said, you guys you're like White Soul, so Vanilla Fudge. I didn't know that.
Okay. I always wondered about that too.
Yeah, well, I got it right from the horsey's mouth there. I talked to Martin Barr from Jethro Tull. A couple days ago, and in fact his interview will be on probably right before yours, but they came up with their name, and he wasn't even in the band when they came up with it, but they had a different name for every club they played, And then finally they were playing.
Yeah, I heard that story. They kept on like playing a date and getting bad reviews or something, and they wouldn't hire them again. So they formed a different band with a different name, same guys. I think Jethro Tull was like the guy in the Middle Ages who invented the horse collar or something like that.
You're really close. It was in the 1600s. I did the research on this because in case it came up. But anyway, he was an agriculturalist, is what he was known as. And he invented a plow that planted seeds as you plowed. So it was a horse-drawn seed plow is what it's called. Yeah, so I don't know if there are any patents on that, like it would matter in the year 2020. But yeah, I just plowed the field and I planted at the same time. Well, honey, you should get a patent on that. That's who Jethro Tull was. I don't know.
Fascinating. They were one of my favorite bands growing up also.
Yeah, it all came from that same era.
Songs from the Wood is one of my all-time favorite albums.
Yeah, it's just the past month or so has been really interesting as far as Blast from the Past coming back. And I have to ask this. Have you been able to play live anywhere or made some sort of provisions to do so? Or how are you doing that?
We've had a few. Fortunately, we had a pretty nice summer here on Long Island. And we did a handful of outdoor shows. I mean, we had a ton that were canceled or indefinitely postponed. We did a couple of drive-in concerts. So a local performing arts center where we were supposed to open for somebody big, canceled that show indoors in May, but then decided to have a series of drive-in concerts in their parking lot. So they put us up in a showmobile, and we did that. We did another one on a portable stage in a grassy field where they brought cars in up on the North Shore. Great Neck is the town it was in. We did. There's a park that has a big summer series up in Huntington, which is a real sort of arts community here on Long Island. And we'd played for them last year, so we didn't expect to get called back again for another 6. But they had a sort of folk Americana group that had to cancel due to travel restrictions. And they called us back and said, "Hey, you were great last year. You want to do it again?" So we ended up doing a park show, and there they had chalk circles in the grass where people could sit and stay, safely distanced. And we did an outdoor show for a library a few weeks ago, in their parking lot. And we've got a couple. We're all been careful enough that we trust each other that we'll be in the same room together. So we're going to do a couple of streaming shows in November and December for other local organizations. So we've been able to do a few here and there, but the amount that we lost was just astounding. We're just hoping some of them get rescheduled for next year.
That's a lot. That's as much as I've heard anybody doing. So that's great. Did you have to cancel your White House gig? I hear it's a hot box there. You don't want to play that one.
Oh, yes. Our appearance in the Rose Garden, yes.
Yeah, well, maybe the Rose Garden
that one was never solidified.
God, that's the last place you want to be right now, of all things,
Yeah.
It is the weirdest time in history. Yeah, I lived through the 60s, but I was kind of a kid. I was in my early teens in the late 60s, so I was good with the music. I kind of knew what was going on. What's wrong with being a hippie? That was me. I was kind of a jock hippie student leader. I got okay grades, but I wanted to play in a band, and I was all over the map. But I really didn't pay that much attention. I just thought, wow, they're just corrupt. How did they get into high offices like that? And it hasn't changed. So, and luckily the music hasn't that much either, because you can come back and say the same lyrics and it still applies.
You know what? It was astounding as we were looking through the songs that we chose, and all of a sudden this year just felt like we were thrust back into 1968 between the racial issues and the protests and riots and the anger at Washington. And I look at a song like Abraham, Martin, and John and just reminded of just how bad things can get if the vitriol and the rhetoric heats up too much.
Anybody here seen my old friend Abraham? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seemed good they die young. I just look around and he is gone. Anybody here seen my old friend John? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seemed good they die young. I just look around and he's gone. Anybody here seen my old friend Martin? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seems good they die young. I just look around and he is gone. Didn't you love the things that they stood for? Didn't they try to find some good for you and me? And we'll be free someday soon. It's gonna be one day. Anybody here seen my old friend Bobby? Can you tell me where he's gone? I thought I saw him going over the hill with Abraham, Martin, and John. Abraham, Martin, and John.
And a song like Get Together, which we released, or some of the other somewhat political ones. But a song like At 17 has never been more relevant than it is now. With the teenage depression and suicide and cyberbullying.
I learned the truth at 17, that love was meant for beauty queens and high school girls with clear-skinned smiles who married young and then retired. The Valentines I never knew, the Friday night charades of you were spent on one more beautiful. At 17 I learned the truth. And those of us with ravaged faces, lacking in social graces, desperately remained at home, inventing lovers on the phone who called to say, come dance with me, and murmured vague obscenity. It isn't all it seems at 17. A brown-eyed girl in hand-me-downs, whose name I never could pronounce, said, pity please the ones who serve, they only get what they deserve. And the rich relationed hometown queen marries into what she needs with guarantee of company and haven for the elderly. Remember those who win the game, lose the love. 17. To those of us who knew the pain of Valentines that never came, and those whose names were never called when choosing sides for basketball. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and dreams were all they gave for free to ugly duckling girls like me. We all play the game, and when we dare to cheat ourselves, it's solitaire. Inventing lovers on the phone, repenting other lives unknown, who call and say, come dance with me, who murmur vague obscenities to ugly girls like me at 17.
Was that just written like last week or something? Nothing's changed.
Feels that way, yeah. I guess society has to go through this periodically.
I don't know, man.
The people who learned the lessons sort of lose their influence on society, and the people that are determined to forget them or downplay them just take over.
When will they ever learn?
There's that too, for sure. we do that one. We didn't put it on the record, but we sing that one.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. I hope you play up in the Seattle area. I don't know if I'm going to be traveling too much, but I can certainly make it to there. But I don't know. You're in Long Island.
Yeah, so we're clear across the country, but we'd love to. You know, Hillary has friends in Alaska and keeps on talking about putting together a tour up there, and is like, maybe we could swing through Seattle for a few dates and then continue onward.
Yeah, I'm going to play 2 or 3 songs off of Old Friends. Do you have any favorites you'd like me to feature on there? Are there any you sing lead on that you just want to have pinned on the refrigerator by your mom?
You know what? I love all the songs on this album. My favorites in terms of the way we treated it, I think, are If You Could Read My Mind. That's one I sing the lead on.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie, but it goes from a wishing well. In a castle dark, or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet, you know that ghost was me. And I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can't see. If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. just like a paperback novel, the kind that drugstores sell. When you reach the part where the heartaches come, the hero would be me. But heroes often fail, and you won't read that book again because the ending's just too hard to take. Away like a movie star who gets burned in a three-way script. Enter number 2, a movie queen to play the scene of bringing all the good things out in me. But for now, love, let's be real. Never thought I could act this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong, but the feeling's gone, and I just can't get it back. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie, but a ghost drama wishing well. In a castle dark, or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet, the story always ends. And if you read between the lines, you'll know that I'm just trying to understand the feelings that we lack. I never thought I could feel this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong, but the feeling's gone, and I just can't get it back.
Great ideas. Your vocal arrangements are, I don't want to say complicated because it would make it sound like you overproduced them or something like that. No, the tastefully done. Yeah, really good, really thoughtful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all three of us are musically trained to some degree, and we've got creative enough minds that we sometimes think of doing things that are a little bit out of the ordinary, but work. And sometimes it takes a little bit of experimenting around to see what sounds the most interesting. So yeah, most of them are pretty collaborative.
Long Island, that's where my mom came from.
Yeah, where on Long Island was she from?
Valley Stream.
Oh, that's right near me.
Oh, is it really?
In Malvern, which is like one town over. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know the area really well. I've never been there, but I've looked at it on a map, just kind of wondering where my mom came from. And
Valley Stream is kind of in the southeast corner. Just it's like the next town out from Queens, basically, and you just go east a little bit from the northern corner of Valley Stream, and you come to Malvern.
Yeah, and she had a teeny bit of an accent when I was a little kid, but it went away. But she'd turn it on if she was scolding me or something. Suddenly she sounded like she was from, that's no way to talk to your father. Mom, you don't talk like that. So anyway, it's been great talking to you. I could talk all day about this stuff, but we'll let you go and get to your day.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I'm excited to hear the podcast. And I'm going to have to listen when the one with Martin Barr comes out, because, like I said, Jethro Tull was always one of my favorite bands growing up. I saw them at concert like 2 or 3 times, which is a lot for me. And,
I never saw them live. Did you see them like open for Led Zeppelin? Because I know they did that for a
Oh
while.
no, not that early. I saw them in the 80s.
They were headliners.
And yeah, I saw them in Philadelphia. I had terrible seats, but it was a good show. And then I saw them at least once at Jones Beach here on Long Island, and that must have been the late 80s, early 90s. And Ian was getting to the point where he couldn't leap around quite as much anymore, but still a great show. But boy, I would love to talk to Martin Barr just about some of the stuff they did. Like I said, the Songs from the Wood album is one of my all-time favorites. And just the complexity of some of the songs and arrangements on that. It's like, how did you guys do that? Was it all scored out or was it just rehearsed over and over and over again?
Yeah, they were progressive rock before it really had a term, I think.
That and Thick as a Brick, just great albums. And Aqualung I played continuously. That was like when my parents had a pool table in our basement growing up, and that was one of the go-to albums when my friends and I were playing.
Yeah, I talked to Martin about, you remember the days when you'd buy an album and you'd call up your buddies and everybody'd come over and you'd take the cellophane off and you'd put it on and it was, a band.
You just sit and listen. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was all over that. He said, yeah, I did that too,
Yeah.
We were all doing the same thing. Well, you've revived those memories. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having us, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, well, say hello to your other bandmate. Give everybody COVID-free hugs for me.
Will do, and you stay healthy out there.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stuart.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye.
Make it better, stay now, baby. Oh, better in every way.
You've been listening to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. We'll be back with a new horizon, but until then, honor the future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
And we're all just trying to make the next day a bit better.